Morning, I'm David Beatty. I'm a Republican candidate for Sheriff of Canadian County. I'd like to go over some issues today, but before I do that, some of you may have seen some news stories about me that come out this past weekend. These media reports came out from a situation 12 years ago, which came to light due to one of my opponents. I was contacted by 2 outlets yesterday seeking comment about a packet of information that was mailed to them. Quite simply, 12 years ago, I had an affair with a lady. I was working at the police department. I was married and she was unmarried. And we were working a case in which 2 men were charged with a crime. I went to court as a witness, sat before a jury of my peers, told the truth and made my mistakes. These men were ultimately convicted in federal court. It was appealed to the 10th Circuit Court in Denver. It was upheld and they served time in federal prison. I was never threatened or charged or anything like that came out of some of the claims to the media that I've been involved in wrongdoing. So it's a humbling, it was embarrassing, and it was an avoidable experience. But I want to approach that in case y'all seen it on Channel 4 or anything like that. I would also say that go to Channel 4's website, on the Facebook page, there's several comments on there where you can kind of see a little bit about what had went on with that. Tell you what, I sat here and wrote out a real good speech and had all this stuff and organized, and it's kind of hard to get up here and say, hey guys, I messed up 5 years ago. But ultimately, you know, I don't want to be involved in mudslinging, and I don't want to have that in our race. And so far, other than this deal, we've done a pretty good job. We've all made mistakes, and if you look in the past of others, I'm sure we can create controversies from now to doomsday. So, but ultimately, what you, the voters, are concerned about is who's the best candidate for Sheriff of Canadian County. And I believe that people are interested in what the candidate actually has to say, what they've accomplished, what they intend to do in office, and how they've done in office, or how they intend to carry out the functions of that office. And in the campaign, I've identified 3 issues. I've got some brochures back in the back that go into my background, and I'm trying to kind of save a little time on that. Background's back there, also the 3 issues. And the first one is fiscal responsibility. The sheriff's budget is slightly over $3 million, representing 25% of the county's budget, with a staff of about 73 to 75 full-time employees. My goal is to seek efficiency in the setting and the delivery of the services that we provide, as well as prioritizing our expenditures that we do. The incumbent in the last 3 budgets has continually requested and received more money each year. These increases have created hardships and shortages for other county officers. As an elected official, I believe I share a distinct responsibility in protecting our tax dollars as well as your peace and dignity. The second issue is effective criminal enforcement. Crime is up in our county, while statewide it shows a decrease according to UCR statistics. I want to put the patrol back into our patrol personnel instead of being civil process servers. I want to schedule people more efficiently and ensure that proper equipment and resources are being available to the people on the street. And I also want to do more. I also want to utilize technology as a force multiplier.
About 1 minute.
Not longer than that's fine. As far as drugs and crime, those are hand in hand. I put together the first countywide drug task force that the county had seen in several years. I think it had been 10 years before we had one. But I put together the drug task force in this county. I've locked up in this county. I've investigated drugs, done meth labs, been a state narcotics member, and I know the drug problem is probably one of our bigger problems in this county. I know better than any of the other candidates. Josh is probably a close second on how to investigate drugs and what we need to do to efficiently go after the drug problem in the county. Getting close, aren't you? The other thing is I want to institute an open door policy with people. I've got a website, it's beattyforsheriff.com.
I'm sorry.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I didn't clarify that, but this means stop, so we don't have our yellow, we don't have our cautions today. Next is Randall Edwards.
My name is Randall Edwards. I'm Sheriff of Canadian County. Many of you know that Piedmont's home to me. My wife and I both are from Piedmont. We graduated from here. We raised 3 sons that are all 3 in law enforcement. My wife and I have been married for 38 years, and the majority of those 38 years has been happy. But we call Piedmont home. We love the people here, and I appreciate you letting us come and share breakfast with you this morning and speak to you. The last 4 years in office, I have done everything I told you I would do, but I ran for office. I have implemented several programs, and as far as drug enforcement, nobody's going to work drugs any harder than what I've worked them this last 4 years. We've got 4 K-9 units, 2 of which is on the highway, been responsible for seizing thousands of pounds of drugs and hundreds of thousands of dollars in cash and assets. We have 2 K-9s in patrol. Those K-9s we utilize not only in patrol but at schools anytime the schools want to do a sweep for drugs in the schools. They're there for the county schools to utilize. I've put drug programs in the schools, school security in schools, started a truancy program in the schools. We've got a DHS investigator, full-time deputy working with DHS. These the truancy and DHS is paid for entirely by the Juvenile Justice Center. As Commissioner Carson will tell you, I fought hard to keep the Juvenile Justice Center's budget. As far as being fiscal responsible with the county's funds, I've given money back every year that I've been in office, back towards the general budget. I have been frugal with your money. We buy used cars, we buy used computers. We bought the last set of computers from Vance Air Force Base up in Enid. We buy used computers for our cars. I've tried to update the equipment we have since I've been in office as efficiently and as affordably as possible to stretch your tax dollars. I've done, again, everything that I told you I would do. We are getting ready to break ground on a jail. It's phase 1 of 2 different phases. It'll give us 120 beds that we need desperately to bring our prisoners back to Canadian County. Right now we're spending $511,000 a year to house them out of county. I proposed a dormitory concept for phase 1 that will give us the maximum amount of beds for the least amount of dollars. We should break ground this fall on that. I would appreciate your vote. I would like to build and expand on the programs that I've started the last 4 years, and I'd like to oversee the jail that I helped design. I thank you for your attention this morning and asking my wife and I to spend this morning with you. Thank you.
Thank you. Joshua Moore.
First of all, I'd like to thank the Chamber for hosting this event this morning, and I'd like to thank each and every one of you for attending to hear what the candidates have to say. I worked for the county for 17 years. 13 of those years were spent with the Sheriff's Office. I've worked as a jailer, jail sergeant, reserve deputy, patrol deputy, investigator, and most recently as a patrol sergeant. I spent a year in Iraq working directly with the military as an international police advisor and then mentoring and training of Iraqi police officers. when I came back, and when Sheriff Edwards was sworn into office in 2009, he appointed me as a sergeant in the patrol division. As time went by, I saw some things going on within the office that I didn't like or I didn't agree with. I thought these things would get better with time, however, they just continued to get worse. The spending, the practices, I thought were kind of some wasteful spending going on, and morale within the office was at an all-time low. Being a patrol sergeant, I really couldn't control these issues. I'm of the mindset that if you're not part of the solution, then you're part of the problem. And as a patrol sergeant, I could not correct these issues at that level, at what I felt was at the administrative level. And so I made the decision to resign. This was a tough decision. It was a decision that came with much thought and consideration and much prayer. I felt that it was a spirit-led decision, and that's why I decided to run for sheriff. Sheriff Edwards claims that he is a fiscally responsible candidate. Sheriff Edwards did return $70,000 to the budget over the past 3 years. However, that's kind of a politician's answer. What he's failed to tell the people is that over the past 2 years, the sheriff's office budget has increased by $1.8 million. That's a 68% increase from when he took office in January of 2009. To put this in perspective, the previous administration, the previous sheriff, the budget only increased by $1 million over a period of 6 years, from 2002 to 2008. Sheriff Edwards made a lot of campaign promises, and he kept those promises. He created a whole bunch of new programs, but at what expense to the taxpayer? The government is creating more and more programs at the local, state, and federal level. You know, this comes at an enormous cost to the taxpayer a lot of times. While Sheriff Edwards was creating these programs, burglaries increased by 67% in rural Canadian County, while larcenies and other thefts increased by 45%. We have a major lack of patrol in the rural areas of Canadian County, the rural and unincorporated areas, and it's due to an understaffing of the patrol division. What's happened is when we've created these other divisions, the structuring of the office, these people have went to these other divisions and these new programs, and they're not out patrolling the county. They're too busy serving civil papers. We need to get that back where it's supposed to be. We need to get back to the basics, because the basics is where it's at. The current administration has too many irons and too many different fires. You know, the federal government is great at creating new programs, and these programs that they always create, they cost the taxpayers a lot of money. But when they run out of money, they just print more money of it. Print more of it. We don't have that. We can't print more money. And they do they do a great job at wasting the taxpayer money at the federal level. So at the county level, you know, let's protect the taxpayers' money.
About a minute.
1 minute. If you want a sheriff who's going to be politically correct and tell you what you want to hear, then I'm not the man you want to vote for. If you want a bunch of new programs or a bunch of campaign promises, I'm not the man to vote for. If you believe in increasing the size and the scope of government at the county level, once again, I'm not your man. But if you want somebody who's going to be a constitutional conservative for your sheriff, who's going to go out and he's going to protect the taxpayers' money and make sure it's spent wisely and appropriately while protecting the citizens of this county and defending the Constitution from all threats, foreign and domestic, then vote Joshua Moore on November 6th. Thank you for your time.